Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Woodstock Regional Artists. I'm your host, Sal Miccio, coming to you from my home studio in West Hurley, New York, along with David Lax, our producer engineer at the controls in Studio A in Saugerties, New York. Tonight we have a special guest. He's a pianist, synthesist, keyboardist, and composer, Neil Alexander. Neil, how are you this evening?
I'm fantastic, Sal, and I'm really excited to be talking to you.
I know you do a lot of solo work, but you also play with a number of bands. I've been out there to see a few.
The main band is always Neil Alexander and Nail. That's been, uh, we just, last year was our 20th anniversary, and I like to keep that going because it's a very open-ended, flexible kind of outfit. Then my friends Mike Coletti and Tony Parker from Woodstock, who I'm sure you know, have we have a little trio called Cloudburst.
Tell me, Neil, who were your earlier influences in music?
Well, going way back, my dad was an amateur classical pianist and an electrical engineer, which, if you think about it, explains everything I do almost perfectly. So early influences would be like Beethoven and Diodato. He had a version of 2001: A Space Odyssey, Thus Spake Zarathustra, from 1969, 1970. And that got me started in both playing piano and arranging music for horns and things like that. Then it was Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Yes, and eventually the Mahavishnu Orchestra, which led me back to Miles Davis and Charlie Parker. Throw a little dash of Brian Eno in there, and Walter Carlos, Wendy Carlos switched on Bach. And that's sort of like
The path to success.
It gives you the big picture.
Your genres include jazz, rock, funk, blues, electronica, ambient, and contemporary classical.
There's an energy to rock and roll that isn't in anything else, and I wouldn't want to give that up. There's an artistry in jazz and expression that, it feeds into everything I do. Ambient music is soundscape. It's backdrop. It's that's taking you into a new sonic space. So now, even just feeding those three things together, we come out with something new, and then you feed that further with funk, electronic music, and the contemporary classical ties it all together with a broader compositional picture.
You've have an award that you won here, Individual Artist of the Year, by the Orange County Arts Council. What did you win that?
That was in 2015.
Okay, this first video that we're going to do, and we discussed this before we came on the air, is going to be dedicated to Ted Orr.
Before we roll the video, I just would like to say something about the man Ted Orr. Ted Orr is the reason we're having this conversation. 12 years ago, I did not know anyone in the Woodstock area. I met Ted at Helsinki Hudson when they first opened. I was doing a benefit, as was he. He was playing tablas. And he did a set, I did a set, and he said, "Why don't we do something together?" I said, "Sure." And then, a month later, I found out, "Oh, you're a guitar player?" And then he started bringing me into gigs and introducing me to people. And Ted has had a profound impact on my life. I can't say enough wonderful things about the man, and what a tremendous talent and positive spirit, a great connector of people and musics, and he will be dearly missed.
Thank you. And this one's for Ted. It's called Requiem. It was very classy and very solemn tune, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Sal. That was a completely improvised piece, done in 3 separate stages. I did the keyboard pass originally. Like I said, more of that, like I was alluded to earlier, that soundscape kind of ambient approach. Then I asked my friend Bob Meyer, drummer and percussionist living in Westchester County, to contribute some avant-garde, non-rhythmic percussion elements. And after I had that, in listening to it, I thought, oh, what else does this need? And I realized it needed a trumpet. So I called my friend Chris Payson, who I believe lives near Catskill, I think, up in Ulster County. And he also, these guys did one take, basically, where they did video and audio and sent it to me, and then I cut it together and mixed it.
So you played a number of different places. I know the Blue Note, the Ritz Theater, Newburgh. Tell me about your travels and places that you've played.
Well, I did a lot of touring back in the 90s, mid-90s to mid-2000s when I was with The Machine. And we did a lot of up and down the eastern seaboard, Providence, Rhode Island, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Boston, and then we went to the West Coast for a while, and then we went overseas. We went to Germany, Amsterdam, and I've also done a fair amount of touring with Nail, which has been it's a different experience to tour your own music.
You said it with Salt and Rose one night too. I remember.
Yes,
it was a great night. And you've played with some great folks here. I'm going to read them off so I don't make a mistake. Rez Abbasi.
Oh yeah, Rez.
Pee Wee Ellis, The Machine, The Mahavishnu Project, Joe Lovano, Tony Thunder Smith, Gunther Hampel.
Gunther Hampel, yeah.
Yeah, Ty Ross, that was P-Funk.
Yeah, Ty Ross was one of the original guitarists in P-Funk.
P-Funk. Yeah, Charlie Hayes, Eric Lawrence. Boy, you've gotten some nice credits here. You know, it's a fantastic resume you have.
Well, thank you very much.
I think it's time for us to look at another video. This one here is called Time and Again. And let's play it and talk about it on the other side.
All right.
Well, that was a moving and grooving tune. I see a really sweet finish too. How did that tune come about, Neil?
Um, okay, well, the tune was originally composed. The melody was composed in 1990 for my one of my old bands. I had a band from the story of the song is like this. I had a band from 1982 to 1994 called A Animal. And I wrote a lot of music for them. And Time and Again was one of the tunes I wrote for them. And it's been rearranged many times since that band broke up in 94. Um, I met the drummer, Grant Calvin Weston. I think probably he also has a band that does the music of Mahavishnu called Treasures of the Spirit. And when I heard about him, I just got in touch with him, and we've been friends. We've been trying to, he's in the Philadelphia area, and we've been trying to figure out how we can get together and play. We haven't actually met in person yet.
Okay.
But he started sending me drum tracks. And he sent me a track that he recorded in his studio. He did the audio and the video recording, and he said, here's a track, do something with it. And I put it up in my studio, and I started fooling around, and I realized it would be perfect for a new version of Time and Again.
Wow.
So I tracked myself playing multiple keyboards and video, and then cut it together.
Put the cart before the horse. That was great.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
It's
good.
like I've been trying to use this time, this lockdown time, to learn video editing.
Uh-huh.
Something I've always wanted to do, and so now with things like Requiem and Time and Again, I've had a chance to actually get in there and experiment and play around, and
Right.
that's what we're looking at.
Right.
So
That's good. It says here that you're also involved in modern dance and ballet, and you're composing a lot of accomplishments with different choreographers. Why don't you tell us something about that?
well, let's see. Way back in 1982, when I was a wee lad and I needed a job, a friend of mine said, "You're a really good pianist. I think you'd be good at this gig." And he brought me to New York University, and he sat me down in a dance class at the piano, and he said, "Just make stuff up." And so I did that for 38 years. I was at New York University for 10 years. And then I started working with the independent choreographers, people like Lenore Latimer and Donald Byrd, not the trumpet player, but the choreographers, brilliant choreographer. And then I said in 92, I started working at SUNY Purchase. And I worked at SUNY Purchase Conservatory of Dance from 92 through 2019. And I worked with a boatload of amazing, amazing artists, choreographers and teachers. I wrote music that for choreographers that was performed in Singapore. And I had established myself in the dance world, which was not by design. It's just one of those things that sort of happens as life is rolling by. But I maintain a relationship with a lot of dancers and choreographers, and I continue to work in the field.
That's great. In what's it, 2019, you celebrated your 20 years with Neil, and you've had your most recent CD, which is called Live at the Blue Note.
Yes.
And we have a song, I believe, from that CD, Every Man, The Flight of the Falcon. why don't you discuss that with us? Let us know what was on your mind when that was put together.
Okay. Well, that tune I wrote in 2006 and originally appeared on the Nail record called Tugging at the Infinite. In 2019, we were doing our 20th anniversary tour. 5 guests that night. Usually Nail goes out as a quartet. So I had 4 additional horn players and a percussionist from India named Swaminathan Salvaganesh.
So there, you're teaching music, a master class in synthesizer programming and music performance. So you performed some solo concerts in a series called 100 Years of Spring, which celebrated the centennial of Stravinsky's Rite of Spring.
I got infatuated with the Rite of Spring in 1986. I want to be able to play this by myself. I don't want to have to wait on somebody else. So I started a 20-year-long process of condensing it down to piano 2 hands. So here I have this arrangement. So I pulled all the plugs on all the bands that I was working with, and I did a 2-year solo piano tour performing the Rite of Spring along with other works, Gershwin, Bartok, some original pieces, some jazz.
So at this point, I think we'll play the video. It's a montage of Cloudburst, Supercluster, and then there's a scene of some music played on the river, which is really nice, and the Rite of Spring. So here we are with the montage of Neil Alexander. Well, Neil, this is great. We're coming towards an end, and I want to make sure that folks know where they can get in touch with you. Your website is called nailmusic.com,
That is correct.
and you have some Facebook spots here. Why don't you name them?
Okay, well, let's see. I have my initial page, Nail. It's facebook.com/Nail Alexander Cloudburst. There's one for Mr. Gone, which is the Weather Report tribute group that
Right.
I've been playing with. And the X Ensemble. X Ensemble
What's
is
that
my
song?
relatively new chamber music ensemble.
Uh-huh.
We also have a website at xensemble.org and a Facebook page to go along with that.
Terrific. Now you have 20 or more CDs. Too many to mention, but I'd like you to mention some of them. A couple that you maybe the newest ones that you have out, some that you know that folks that really enjoy listening to. Why don't you go over a couple of your CDs?
So the newest CDs are the two newest CDs are both solo electronic music, which goes under the handle of Nail Young. First one, the one that I just released at the beginning of this month, is called "Check Your Vibration," and I think that's the one I'm happiest with so far. Before that was Orbital Mechanics, and at the beginning of July, I also released a compilation called Solos, Duos, and Trios Volume 1, which includes many, many hours of archived audio, and I'm trying to release it all. Nail has the Live at the Blue Note record, which was released last year, along with the solo piano in Los Angeles. The big seller is Tugging at the Infinite, which contains the original Everyman track. But from 2002 is a record called Galvanized, which did very well overseas, surprisingly. Mostly improvised track. And that's it. There's something called the Inner Music Ensemble, which is ambient. I've just been throwing stuff up on the wall, see if it sticks.
Where do we find all these CDs?
All this stuff can be garnered through my website, and you can go directly to the CD page at music.nailmusic.com.
All right. All right. Get there and get that music, folks, because there's some good stuff out there. PayPal.me/nailmusic. You have a Venmo at Nail Music.
Yeah.
And you have
the Cash App, right?
with
Also Nail Music.
That's a $sign Nail Music.
Right.
This has been a pleasure for me to work with you this evening. We've heard some really great stories and listened to some terrific music, and really appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
It's my pleasure, man.
Want to thank you, man, and hopefully we can get out there live and do it again very, very soon. Folks, that's our show for this evening with Neil Alexander. Tune in next Tuesday. We will have another special guest. Until then, be safe out there and support your local artists any way you can. Thank you, and good night.